Happy Friday, North Texas. I'm Scott. Today is Friday, May 8th, and it's commencement weekend, y'all. We want to wish a huge congratulations to all of our spring 2026 graduates. We have more than 7,300 earning a degree this spring, and you'll get to hear from a couple of them in this episode. But first, we've got some news to know for our UNT community. First and foremost, in case you haven't heard, we're right in the middle of our biggest commencement ever. The festivities kicked off yesterday with our doctoral and MFA ceremony, followed by 4 ceremonies per day today, Saturday, and Sunday, and it all wraps up with 3 ceremonies on Monday. That's going to be a lot of happy families celebrating in Denton over the next few days. Check the link in the show notes for the full schedule and more information, and if you're not attending a ceremony, maybe avoid the area to stay out of that traffic. All of those graduates can join the UNT Alumni Association for Wine Down Wednesday, May 20th at Wine a Little in McKinney. Wine Down Wednesdays are monthly events designed to bring together our UNT alumni community from across DFW. Check the link in the show notes to learn more and register. The first day of the first summer session is this Monday, May 11th, but there's still time to register for summer and fall 2026 classes. And planning your semester is a whole lot easier thanks to UNT's enhanced schedule builder. It allows you to block off times you're unavailable, select your preferred campus location, choose from a variety of schedules auto-generated just for you, and save your finalized schedule in your shopping cart. Visit registration.unt.edu to get started. And now for some athletics news, let's check in with Zach Babb for the Mean Green Minute.
Mean Green softball season came to its conclusion in a heartbreaking loss in the quarterfinals of the American Conference softball tournament. It was a 4-2 defeat in 9 innings at the hands of East Carolina, the host in Greenville. The Mean Green end their season with a 28-28 overall record. They were 14-13 this year in conference play.
Thanks for that update, Zach. That was a tough loss against East Carolina, but we still want to celebrate the softball team for a great season. Speaking of celebrations, in case you haven't heard, it's commencement season, y'all. As is tradition here on the pod, we like to celebrate every commencement by sharing the stories of some of our freshly minted graduates. Back in February, Bess interviewed Rotary Global Grant scholar Daya Muhammad about her economics research. In celebration of Daya graduating from UNT this weekend, we wanted to share this interview where she talks about her time at UNT and the opportunity she'll have to earn her master's degree in London thanks to this grant.
At UNT, what is your major and semester that you're graduating?
Yes, so my major is international studies with the concentration in business and economics. My main focus is on international economics, and I graduate in May 2026, so spring.
Okay, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I would love to know kind of how you heard about the grant and what the application process was like.
Yeah, so initially throughout my undergrad, I had always known that I kind of wanted to go the grad school route, but I didn't know exactly how and where and when. But yeah, I am a part of the UNT Honors College, and I actually was employed there for about a year and a half, where I met Dr. Duan, and he became one of my biggest academic supporters. And that's how I was introduced to the Rotary application. And with that, I was also simultaneously introduced to Rhodes and Marshall. And the application process throughout all of those were very, 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 very rigorous. It takes a lot of time. I started in the beginning of summer in Austin, where I was doing a research project at UT Austin, funded by the NSF, the National Science Foundation. And during that research program, I was simultaneously preparing for applications and so on. And it took a lot. It was very stressful. But throughout it all, it taught me so much about myself, I would say, because I feel like as undergraduate students, we know what we're interested in, we know what we want. We have an idea of what we want to do, but we don't know exactly how to concentrate those interests because we are so young and so new into academia. So writing those long essays and, answering all of those different problems kind of taught me to learn more about myself while doing so. So it was a very rigorous process, but it was amazing.
Okay, awesome. And then, okay, so this was summer 2025, I'm guessing, this past year.
This was summer 2025, yes.
Okay, And just out of curiosity, what was your research project that you were working on?
Yeah, so my research project was on adultification bias of Black little girls and how that aids to their economic outcomes in the future. So basically, I coded a lot of different data from a public data source of students who were in grades ranging all the way from K through a senior year, so like K through 5, then all the way up to 10th, 11th, 12th, and so on. And what we would do is we would basically match these characteristics as to what previous research said about adultification bias of Black little girls and how that aided into their future economic outcomes to see if, the adultification bias that they witnessed and suffered while younger primed lower economic outcomes.
Okay, gotcha. And that sounds like very in line with what Dr. Juban said about kind of your research interests that you're hoping to pursue at the
Yes.
LSE. He wrote, you plan to work at the intersection of research and implementation, contributing to development initiatives in ways that advance on a global scale historically marginalized communities. Is that right?
Yes, that's a perfect way to describe it.
Okay, perfect. And I know Dr. Duban, I'll just verify this too. He said you're planning to pursue a master's degree, I believe a master's in science in local economic development.
Yes, I am.
Perfect. Okay. So when you were applying, you're doing your applications and started working on this grant application as well, how did you decide to apply for the London School of Economics?
Yeah, so not only does LSE just like produce these like marvelous academics and they constantly withhold these like amazing programs, the MSC's placement with is also in the Department of Geography and Environment, which aligns with my academic goals. What's very interesting is during my undergrad time here, I didn't realize how much economics and geography intersects so greatly. I remember the first geography class I took here was urban geography and as well as economics of international geography. And it was just so like captivating to kind of look at economics through this spatial lens. So the fact that LSE places this degree within the Department of Geography and Environment is just like amazing because it reinforces this like main focus and this main idea that economic development is inseparable from geographic space and disparities and local capacities and local policies. And in fact, the program's attention to the intersection between spatial examination and economic policy offers this technical approach that complements my devotion to these justice-centered development ideas and provides this like interdisciplinary scope and foundation for future doctoral research that I hope to be a part of, which my focus will be on the intersection of space and environment and its effects on uneven economic development locally, but as well in the global south, specifically in areas such as Latin America and Central America and Central Africa. So it's very just like captivating to see the emphasis that LSE puts on geography within economics. And I think that's really why I chose that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I know, of course, in the US and I'm sure at other schools abroad, to get that kind of focus, you might have to take some courses here in this department and then some here in
Yeah.
this department. So it's interesting that those are infused together and combined and like into that nice focus that you were looking for. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. How would you say your time at UNT prepared you for this, future experience going to grad school?
Yeah, I would say it prepared me greatly. I remember coming to UNT, I was like, I wanted to get into everything. I would definitely say that I was a bit of a tryhard as a freshman, but I think the try hardness kind of worked out with
I think it's a
for my
good thing in
favor.
college to be try hard. That's like a one place where it's like that's good.
Yeah. 'Cause I got so many doors open, not even necessarily regarding opportunities, doors open as in my intellect. I have gotten to meet so many amazing academics. I mean, right now I'm a research assistant under Dr. Kimmy King in the political science department, and simply just talking to academics like her, as well as one of my other academic supporters. Her name is Dr. Singwa Ali. She's a part of the International Studies Department. It's just so inspiring and just enthralling and completely captivating to see how they learn, what they do, and how they kind of transition what they've learned and instill it into students like me. And simply being around that has inspired me so much. And of course, being around students that are like-minded as well. And I would definitely say throughout my positions that I've held within my undergrad time, it has definitely aided to that. So, like I said, being a research assistant for one of the professors here, as well as working for the Honors College. I also even work at the VLB where I review resumes for international students and I help them. And that's kind of just been something that's very like engaging and self-fulfilling as well, just knowing that I can help people with their career development, even like on this like lesser academic basis. It's just, helping people with their development. So I definitely think just like the community that I've been around since being here at UNT and the people that I've surrounded myself with have been just a huge impact on my time here.
Awesome. So, you're heading to London later this year. What are you kind of hoping to take away from your experience there? And I know you've spoken a little bit about your research interests and career goals. If there's anything else you would want to say about how you think living in London and attending this school specifically is going to advance your career goals.
Yeah, so not only is, the school very well rounded within their academics and how detailed they are within each degree and what they provide within their professors and so on and so on. I think the UK's efforts within regional economic regeneration is very interesting to me, especially in post-industrial communities. And I believe that my studies will provide such valuable perspectives that align with my interests in community-driven policy. And it's also this external opportunity to work abroad where I can engage directly with local councils, grassroots organizations, different policy networks, think tanks, and possibly contribute, my perspective growing up in a low income area, in a marginalized area, while simultaneously learning from their perspectives on inclusive growth and different innovations and development strategies and so on. So I think it's kind of that like transactional understanding from two different transatlantic perspectives that will definitely aid to my growth, as well as understanding kind of what locally means to different people. So I would definitely say that I hope to get out more perspectives and a better understanding of how I can be an ethical developer.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you would want me to know while I'm working on the story?
Well, I guess the main thing where my inspiration derives from is I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, specifically Oak Cliff, Dallas, Texas, which is a very marginalized area. And it's where I spent most of my upbringing until around 14, I believe. And like being a part of such a resilient community, like definitely shaped who I am and what I stand for today. Like I experienced firsthand how economic injustices affected our community due to like uneven resource distribution and especially being raised by a single mother with siblings. Like, I don't know, Oak Cliff just definitely just really shaped who I am today. And yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I feel like community is always a really, really important thing in who we are and who we are becoming. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome. Thank you. It was really nice to meet you and to learn about everything awesome that you were doing. And congratulations on your upcoming graduation and on
Yeah.
this awesome adventure that you're going on this fall. I wish you the best.
Always appreciate Bess bringing us such great interviews for the podcast, and big thanks and congratulations to Daya for sharing her accomplishments with us. Good luck in London. We've got one more great grad story to share with you today as our student assistant Thomas spoke to journalism major Alfred Dozier IV. Alfred minored in political science and served as president of the Student Government Association for the 2024-25 academic year, and he hopes to put all of that experience to good use with a career in politics after graduation.
Can you talk a little bit about SGA? Are there any highlight moments from working with that on that?
Oh yeah. So I've been in SGA for 3 years, sophomore, junior, and I'm still a member in my senior year. I kind of call myself the grandpa of SGA because I've been around for so long. And it's in SGA history, it's not abnormal, but it's a little bit abnormal that people become presidents their junior year. and they stick around their senior year. Usually presidents are seniors and then they fly away. But no, I'm still around, so they can't get rid of me just yet. But sophomore year, I became a senator for the Mayborn School of Journalism. I really enjoyed that because I got the chance to advocate on a really small scale for journalism students. I created some legislation, which is what we do in Senate. We create like legislation. It was during the time where Mayborn was kind of in a sense of limbo, as we were previously kind of like a quasi standalone school, but we were kind of becoming more of a department under class as they were restructuring and stuff like that. So I wrote a piece of legislation to kind of advocate for collaboration with the Mayborn School. And also because we Mayborn students, we really pride ourselves of having a standalone school of journalism, that's not normal in the state, especially in the state of Texas. Usually journalism programs are combined with mass communication programs at universities. But the fact that like I can tell people I graduated from the Mayborn School of Journalism, not like the blah 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 School of Mass Communication and Journalism, that's a really big pride point for Mayborn students like myself. And that's where I really wanted to advocate for communication, for collaboration with the Mayborn School to make sure that we still keep the name of not only our namesakes, Frank and Sue Mayborn, but we also still keep our integrity and independence as a journalism school, because that is something that matters to us. And going into my sophomore year, I realized that I wanted to run for Student Government Association president. I asked my fellow senator and close best friend, Jaden Watkins, to run with me as my vice president. And we ran, I want to say, a great campaign. We won, and I became president my junior year, and it was challenging, hard, probably the hardest semester, honestly, of my life, especially because my junior year, I still had a lot of classes. But the highlights from that really was two things. Well, more than two things, but the big things was it was during the 2024 election when I was president. So we really focused on civic engagement and voting registration. We hosted a variety of different voter registration events. And I also wanted to host an election night watch party, which we did. It was a collaboration with the University Program Council, Political Science Department, and Pre-Law program. It was all four of us we all teamed up on this initiative. And on election day, we had the watch party. I want to say it started like 6 p.m., didn't end until 11 p.m. It was like a 4 or 5 hour event. But we had, I want to say, around like 600 students come and go throughout that time period. And to the point where even at the end of the night, it was like 10:50. There were still like 70 people in our room watching the election. And everyone kind of just sat there and watched as history unfolded before our very eyes. And also during that event, we had to have an overflow room because so many people came, and that overflow room was packed to the brim. But of course, we made sure to follow fire codes and stuff. The second big accomplishment from SGA had to have been a transportation campaign me and my executive board led, because one thing me and my vice president focused on was our bus system that UNT operates with the Denton County Transit Authority. And we wanted to advocate for better bus services for students, but we knew at the time the road to getting there is very long, arduous, technical. But we were like, we know we can't just throw money at the problem, but let's do a survey. So we created a survey. It was called Your Bus is Your Say. And there was an entire campaign around the survey where we tried to educate the student body on why our bus services are the way they are right now, like what the agreements are with UNT and DCTA, like how does the finances look. We hosted 2 town halls with the Department of Transportation. We got, I believe, over 1,800 responses on the survey over the course of, it was around 4 months. And we had so much student responses, student engagement, and there was a lot of work and groundwork because, it's hard to get people to do a survey, even if the survey is only 5 minutes long. So, and afterwards, when we ended the campaign, we tabulated all the results and we sent it to university admin to say, here's what students think about UNT transportation. Here are the raw feedback. Here's the good. Here's the bad. And let's continue this conversation about how we can make our university better. And it was a really big accomplishment for me, even though we can't say that we changed the face of UNT transportation. We didn't think we were going to, but we knew that advocacy sometimes doesn't always succeed the way you want it to. Advocacy, a lot of times, is making sure people's voices are heard, which is what we sought to do and what we did accomplish. So that, along with so many other accomplishments, me and my team did, like all my executive board members did such great things in their own different roles in my time as president that I could go on hours to talk about. But truthfully, it was just we had big plans, big goals, big initiatives, and we accomplished a lot of them. Some things did fail. Failure is always going to happen, but it really did teach me and my executive board members how advocacy works and also how working in the system works, because there's always going to be frustrations when you're working in a larger bureaucratic university system, but it taught me it prepared me for the frustrations I am soon to experience when I work in government, hopefully.
Were you able to, did you see anything result from the surveys and from that advocacy efforts?
But I do know transportation has been doing a lot of work with our buses going into this year. Like, I know they're going to be retrofitting all their buses or a lot of their buses soon, or DCTA is. Paul Christina, the CEO of DCTA, came to visit SGA earlier this semester, and he spoke about all the changes they're making. And as I was sitting in the presentation, I wasn't like, oh, this is because of us. But I'm sure we had some kind of impact on it, because I did also send Paul Christina, the CEO of DCTA, our data and our information from the survey to give to him and his team. So I do think it had some kind of impact. I can't tell you any specific stuff. As a journalist, I don't want to tell you, oh, we did this, that, and the third, and not have anything to back it up. But I do think we had an impact. And even if we didn't have like a tangible impact, we helped students get their voices heard, which is still an impact in itself.
Yeah, and at the very least, it's like with a survey like that, you can help kind of find where the specific pressure points are, the places that need the most aid or are most in need of help or aid or funding. For sure is. Can you tell me about working in the orientation office?
I would say being an orientation leader and working orientation was a foundational experience for my not only college career, but honestly for my entire life. Because I don't know if I really am anymore, but I still like to call myself an introvert. I know I especially was one my freshman year, because I felt like I didn't have any friends. I was in the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking about my freshman year, was UNT the right choice for me? Because I could have went to Louisiana State University, which is where my twin sister goes. But I changed my mind kind of last minute because I felt more at home at UNT. And I heard about I loved my orientation leader. His name was Jonathan. And I saw the orientation program was hiring. And I didn't really want to go home over the summer. I wanted to stay on campus and stay independent, because I do love being an independent person too. So I applied to be orientation leader. And when I was applying, I didn't think the job was going to be as hard as it was, but also was going to be so worthwhile. Not only did I learn so much about myself and what I could do as a person, like working 12-hour days, sleeping 6 hours, waking up again for another 12-hour day, and still being happy at the end of it, learning so many things about the university, helping students register for classes, helping students also feel like UNT was their perfect choice. That's part of orientation, is giving these incoming freshmen a look into their new home and making them say at the end of their orientation, I can't wait to come back to UNT in August. So being an orientation leader and working amongst a team of 30, 40 plus people for 2 summers really taught me so much about myself, but also this university and what it means to care for others, to advocate for others, and to have an impact on others. Because there's truly nothing like being an orientation leader. Like, it's hard to encapsulate the summer of being an orientation leader, because the job is so much, but it's so much fun.
So what are your plans for after graduation? Like, you've done all this and you're heading out into the professional world.
So my plans for graduation is to find a job in politics. Right now, I'm looking at different jobs, like with like Texas House reps, Texas Senate reps. I want to stay in Texas. I know, because a lot of people are asking me like, oh, are you going to try to go back to DC after your experience in Capitol Hill? And I was kind of like, yes, I really, really want to go back. But when I came back to Texas, I was reminded that I do love this state. I do love Texas. Texas is my home. I'd never really want to leave Texas. I do love it. So I was kind of like, let me work in Texas. Let me work where I've grown up. Let me work where I feel like I'm needed. So my goal is to find a job in Texas. I would love to work for a state representative and get experience in the state legislature when it starts up in the next spring, and then just kind of see where that takes me and go from there.
Is there anything? Well, actually, I have two questions. First, I'm not a Texas native, so what do you
Mhm.
like about Texas? Like,
I like the fact that even though we're a state, it feels like sometimes we're our own country. Like Texas is so big, what to say, it takes 10 hours to get across from Texas to the other side of Texas or whatever. But I'm originally from Houston, and it's just the culture, the food, the good food, how multicultural Texas is. And I think a lot of people don't realize that when they're outside of Texas. And I'm from Houston. Houston is such a multicultural city. You know, we have a large Hispanic population, a large Indian population, a large Chinese population, a large Black population. And growing up around such a multicultural community, but also such a nice community, you know, like there's always going to be rude people, evil people in the world. But I do think Southern hospitality still exists, especially in Texas, and people are just nicer here. And also the resilience of Texas, of Texans. You know, I'm from Houston. We go through hurricanes every now and then, every few years. And every time we're always hit, we always come back stronger. And I think that resilience is something that I love for this state. So that's why I do love Texas, even though I have heard things from friends who say, damn, I gotta get out of this state. I can't stay in here. And I do understand that, people who do say that, but from my perspective, I do want to stay in the state for the foreseeable future, at least.
yeah. You mentioned Dorothy Bland earlier, one of the
Mhm.
Mayborn faculty. Have there been any other faculty who have left an impact on you or that you think are going to influence the way you approach challenges moving
Mhm.
forward?
Yeah, I would say it was a plethora, honestly. And I'm really lucky to where I've had such a great support system, not only with faculty, but staff and my friends and peers. But specifically for Dr. Bland, I first met her before I before my freshman year. I was involved in the journalism program for high school students or graduates. It was called the Scripps Howard Emerging Journalist Program. And it was by the Scripps Howard Foundation through a partnership with UNT. And she was a program leader. And as a part of the program, it was a 4-day camp at UNT. I think we stayed at Rollins Hall over the course of those 4 days, and it was a camp. And after the camp, we got placed in an internship, and that's how I got my internship with the Houston Chronicle before I even got to UNT, which was like a really big accomplishment for me because it's kind of unheard of that like high school graduates get to intern at a newspaper, especially a Pulitzer Prize winning newspaper like the Houston Chronicle. But that was my first time meeting Dr. Bland, and she's such an enthusiastic person. Like she loves journalism, she loves educating the future journalists of this country, and just interacting with her from high school. And then when I got my freshman year, I made sure to join NABJ. I interacted with her some more. My sophomore year, when I became president, I interacted with her some more, and she was just always really one of my constant supporters, my constant cheerleaders. Whenever I was applying to something, I needed a letter of rec, I always knew I could email Dr. Bland and she would give it to me because she was always in my corner. And I think she kind of saw even before, sorry, I feel like I'm about to start crying because like I love her so much, but
Yeah.
even before I became a freshman, I think she saw like my capabilities and like she mentored me so much. But other staff members and faculty too, like the former dean of the Mayborn School, Audrea Miller, before she left to go to another institution. I met her through the journalism living learning community and got the chance to interact with her and hear about her. And she was also a great supporter of me as well. Krista Coffey, she's the Student Government Association advisor. She was like one of my biggest rocks during SGA because she was a great person to come to for advice. I knew that like if I ever had a problem, go to Krista. If I was ever doing something wrong, Krista would tell me and I would love that. So she was always one of my biggest supporters. And even like my friends, my orientation leader family, the friends I made in orientation, we always still support each other. So like especially Dr. Blaine and all these people, they've always been my supporters in my corner and it's really helped me throughout the years, but also thanks to them, I always made sure to try to be in other people's corners as well, especially with my friends, always trying to support them, give them opportunities, pass along information to. So I'm kind of trying to give back to my community, just like how people like Dr. Bland, Krista Coffee, or the orientation leader staff members have given back to me.
Is there anything else that you think I should know? Anything else that you want to touch on?
I would say that I always tell people this. When I was applying to college, like truthfully, my mom wanted all of my siblings to try to go to Louisiana State University so we could all be together and we could rely on each other. And I was like, I had a roommate at LSU. I had a assigned dorm and everything. But I was like, I felt in my heart of hearts that like, not that LSU was a bad university, but it wasn't the right place for me personally. And my oldest sister, her name is Chanel. She went to Texas Women University and she took me and my sister on a tour of UNT. And on the tour, I was like, okay, this is a very nice campus. I like it. Cool university. They have a good journalism program. So I was like, okay, let me apply. So I applied, I got in. And UNT did give me a good financial aid package, but that wasn't the only reason I came here. It was, I think, thanks to the high school program I did, but also I don't know when it happened, but it was randomly. I was like, I think my mom could tell I was a little bit unsure about my choice of LSU. And I think we were in the Dallas area for a quick trip. And my mom was like, do you just want to go by UNT to check it out one last time to make sure that UNT is the choice for you or not? And I did. And I remember emailing the journalism advising department, and it was Steph. And at the time, the director was named Stephanie Garza. And I like emailed her out the blue, and she was like, hey, yeah, come by our office at this time if you want. We'll give you a tour. And it was like very random. So I said, okay. I told my mom, she dropped me off. I went into Sycamore Hall and I like walked, and she gave me like a full tour of the Mayborn School department area, showed me where the newspaper stays. She was telling me the history of the campus newspaper and how it used to be called the campus chat. And like her, I think giving me that experience really helped me solidify my choice of UNT. Because UNT always like says we have a caring community, and we really do for our staff, because I don't think the opportunities that I had at this university I would have had at other institutions. So that's what I would say. Like UNT, like I'm so glad I chose this school, because like the family I created, the network I created, the opportunities I had. Truly, I like, if you told my freshman year self I would have done all of this, I would have been able to meet all these amazing people. I would have been like, that's not going to happen. That's not possible. So that's what I would say. Like, I truly do love this school. And also, this interview is making me realize I'll probably be bawling like a baby in my graduation. So I'm going to try to mentally prepare for that.
Big thanks to Thomas for bringing us that interview, and to Alfred for sharing his story with us. Alfred, as a fellow Mayborn graduate, I appreciate all you've done for the student body at UNT, and I'm excited to see what you'll accomplish next. And congratulations again to Daya, Alfred, and all 7,000 plus spring 2026 Mean Green grads. Check the link in the show notes to see more great grad stories. Remember, you can help us grow by telling a friend about the show, sharing it on social media, or leaving us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. You can also let us know what you think about the show directly by emailing podcast@unt.edu or calling 940-565-4341. Until next time, we hope you have a happy Friday, North Texas, and go Mean Green. Happy Friday, North Texas is a production of the University of North Texas. Today's show is produced and edited by Scott Brown with original reporting by Bess Whitby and Thomas Rooney. For more information, visit unt.edu/podcast.